Hi, my name is Mike, and I'm here to read a comic. And today's comic is The Incredible Hulk, issue 155, dated September 1972. Yeah, this is actually the third comic from around this time period that I've reviewed. Didn't really plan on that. It just happened there were really a lot of good issues around this time. We see the cover. Obviously, the Hulk is on it. He's battling a foe called Captain Axis. He's clearly based off a Nazi character. He kind of looks like Baron Struck, who's mostly known from the Nick Fury comics. He was a World War II adversary of Nick Fury, and he followed him into the 60s. Yes, he was one of the Nazi criminals that got away. We do see the swastika signal symbol, I should say. It's not it's not displayed that prominently, but you do have to look. It's clearly there. These two are battling. They're having it out one on one, and we're told that this is Blitzkrieg 1972. And Captain Axis, he's pretty confident. He's telling the Hulk that he journeyed a long way to die, and you're going to die in my hands. This was a good issue. I enjoyed this issue. I thought it was emotional at times. I felt bad for the slugs in Slugworld here. And we'll see what's going on. So we open up. We see the creative team. Archie Goodwin. He's a comic book legend. He was a pretty good writer. He would do more adult stuff, like with the Warren magazine stuff. But he was a very capable guy here. He definitely wrote for older readers. So he was not writing comic books for little 6-year-old me. Longtime Hulk artist Herb Trimpe. He's still doing Herb Trimpe stuff. He's also teaming up with John Severin. So it definitely looks like a John Severin book here. And Roy Thomas is the editor. Yeah, so this must have been a good period for Roy. Okay, we see the image of Dr. Banner. He's in the shredded, purple pants that he always wears. No socks, no shoes, no shirt, no dice.
You see that sign? No shirt, no shoes, no dice.
And he's just falling. He's in free fall, and he's in free fall in the subatomic world. In the previous issue, the Hulk was able to shrink himself to enter the atomic world, because he had an adventure in one of these subatomic worlds where he had a girlfriend and he was happy and he was respected, and he wanted to return to that world. So, of course, the Hulk turned to drugs, and he created a formula trying to reference as much of Bruce Banner's knowledge as he could, because he was doing this as the Hulk with the test tubes. And he was able to shrink himself, but he can't control the shrinking. And he doesn't know where he's going. It's similar to the Ant-Man movie, which I thought was pretty good. So anyway, the Hulk, I should say Dr. Banner, he's going through these various worlds, but anytime a danger would come by him, he would shrink smaller and smaller. So finally, he stops going in free fall, and he stops in a world that has a sidewalk. So at the very least, he's kind of interested in what's going on, because one, he's not shrinking anymore, and two, he's in a place that does have infrastructure, and he's seeing New York, but he's seeing a version of New York that he had never seen before. He sees the Empire State Building. It's on fire. It looks like it's about to crash down. This is sort of like how I felt when I saw the aftermath of the two Twin Towers. I was trapped on the subway during that event, but I did see the immediate aftermath from a distance of the huge clouds of smoke. And that's what it looks like here. It looks like complete chaos. And he kind of recognizes what's going on because the images that he's looking at are very similar to the images that he saw in London or in Berlin during the war, during the Blitz. So Dr. Banner is aware that he might be in some type of time warp. There's a plane, there's a World War II plane coming at him. And he recognizes the insignia on it, that it is a swastika. So he's aware that there is a German Hitler-led type government in here. At the very least, he hides behind another car because the plane is firing on him. So this is kind of like an all-out battle. Dr. Banner, he's obviously very confused because he's sort of in a time that he recognizes, but it's in the past, and he's still in this subatomic world. He realizes that he, as Dr. Banner, he cannot expect to survive in this type of environment too long. So he does feel himself being transformed into the Hulk. So I guess he didn't intentionally do this, but I think the realization of how much danger he's in forced his body to subconsciously turn back to the Hulk. Hulk is a bit braver about this. He's willing to fight these planes. He does so. He takes a large truck, throws it at the plane. He's hit by a tank blast from soldiers that appear to be German. So these are German soldiers in New York City. Hulk he doesn't recognize the uniforms, he doesn't recognize the language, but he does recognize the guns and he recognizes the intent, and they have bad intent toward the Hulk. The Nazi soldiers, they start firing on the Hulk. Hulk is just pissed off that he's always bothered by these soldiers. He's not impressed with these guys. He kind of just grabs a tank, throws it at them. And it looks like the Hulk actually kind of kills some of them. And this is kind of interesting. They kind of gloss over it, but I think, the Hulk kind of killed some of these guys. And he's saying, well, maybe that will get them to stop shooting. Yeah, I think so, Hulk. Hulk wants some peace. However, he notices that one of the soldiers is transforming. It's transforming into kind of this large slug-like creature that does bleed. There's a lot of blood. Hulk doesn't understand this because this is definitely not how things work on Earth. So he says the planes look funny, the soldiers talk funny, but there's still a lot here that I recognize that I don't like. So he's still on his mission. Again, Hulk has that crackhead determination. He has that Hulk, and he has that crackhead focus. So he's focused on getting his girl. He doesn't care about this Second World War. So like at the end of Casablanca, when they're talking about the hill of beans, Hulk likes beans. So he's gonna say, fuck the rest of the world. I want my chick. So we go to the story, go back to the story, some ads I don't really care about. Hulk is confused. He's trying to make sense of this. He already thinks humans are stupid, but he thinks these ones are really stupid. However, we go back to regular Earth, and Ant-Man is kind of debriefing General Ross on what happened with the Hulk. Because in the previous issue, the Hulk encountered the Ant-Man, who, again, is a guy who shrinks. And the Hulk was looking to shrink, but he was looking to shrink much further than anything the Ant-Man would want. The two tussled for a while. I think eventually the Hulk just continued shrinking, and then he was just out. Even the Ant-Man couldn't reach him. but nevertheless, he's telling the general, and he's telling Betty what was going on. Betty is extremely upset, and it's not necessarily that the Hulk and Bruce Banner died. He's upset that Betty is upset that the Hulk went back for the old girlfriend. So it's almost like him dying from all that shrinking or shrinking out of existence, that bothers her less than him going back to that old girlfriend. So Betty's priorities are kind of messed up. It's a very nice drawing of her face, though. Glenn Talbert's there. Glenn was kind of a pervy guy. He was not very affectionate toward Betty Ross, but nevertheless, he kind of like won her over because the Hulk was so unattainable. Because he was one of the guys who wanted to get rid of the Hulk, but he wanted to do so he cleared a way for him to kind of screw around with Betty. But things with the Hulk got so out of control that Betty kind of went to the safe harbor of Glenn Talbert. So Betty is taking comfort with Colonel Talbert and not her father. The general's bothered by this because he loves his daughter, but sometimes his duty gets in the way. So then we go back to where the Hulk is. This kind of weird World War II battle is going on, but this time in the city of Manhattan, not London. One of the planes crashes, and Hulk sees the pilot, but he notices that the pilot hasn't turned into that slug-like creature. So he surmises that the pilot's still alive, and he wants the pilot alive so he can question him and see what's going on. He's again that crackhead focus. He's thinking about the girl. He doesn't care about all this battling going on. We see that the Hulk, he just wants to get this information, but he wants to go to a quieter spot to interrogate this guy. However, it turns out the Hulk runs into another group of soldiers, but these soldiers are U.S. soldiers, and unlike the German soldiers who had immediately attacked Hulk, these guys want to talk it out with Hulk. So they have their weapons raised, but they're saying, listen, we want to talk first. So Hulk is weary of the soldiers, but at least these guys are talking to him. So he's willing to be a little bit more patient with them. Hulk is telling him, don't bother attacking me, I can just easily destroy you. However, it turns out that soldiers don't want to fight the Hulk. They want the Hulk to ally with them. So I guess probably from a distance they were observing the Hulk. They saw how powerful he was. They took a wild gamble that maybe we can talk this guy into helping us, because they figured he's an outworlder and he doesn't know what's going on. And Hulk is open to this. He's not dismissing what they're saying. The soldier is letting them know what's going on in their world. And basically, there was a creature called the Shaper, and he was created by the Skrulls. And the Shaper has the ability to make people's dreams come true, and he makes other people's dreams come true because he can't dream. So he has all this power, but he has no imagination on how to use it. So what he does is that he goes to other worlds. He seeks out the dreams of others. So he uses those dreams as kind of like, a feeder for his power. So the only way he can use his power is that if he has a dream, so he needs someone else's dream. And it turns out that someone has a really sad, sick dream where like their whole thing is to be a war hero. And it turns out that what happened was the Shaper was tired of their dreams. Because, I mean, they're kind of slugs. So, they're not going to really dream of much. They'll dream of like a salt-free, planet or something. So the Shaper kind of got tired of their dreams. Another outlander or outworlder came to their civilization. And the Shaper decided to use his dreams because he had fresh dreams and he had different types of dreams. But his dreams are warped, as we can see, and as we'll learn later on. So this is what these creatures have to deal with. And they just are saying, listen, our civilization's dying. This nightmare or this warped dream won't end until it's completed. And there may not be any more slug people, to be plugged into this dream. So that's what they're concerned with. So they want to defeat the Fuhrer, because they know who their enemy is. And the Hulk is agreeing. He lets the pilot go. He figures, hey, I'll help you guys, and maybe this Shaper guy can help me. And we'll end this dream soon, and maybe I can start my own dream. So the Hulk's in agreement. I'll talk about the dream a little later on when we meet our nemesis. The soldiers, even though they're happy Hulk is on their side, they have a lot of pessimism, because what they're asking of the Hulk, no one has ever done before. So then we turn the page. We see a battle going on. It's a full-on battle. The Hulk is involved. The soldiers are involved. Everyone is giving in their all. There's no mercy. So I mean, like the U.S. soldiers, they know they're killing their own slug, species, and they know those guys are forced to do what they're doing, but they have to do it. Because otherwise they would be, put on the slab. We see that there's a command office taken by the occupied troops. So the Nazis have a command office in Manhattan, in the Wall Street area. A messenger is giving the Fuhrer the latest war reports. So obviously the Hulk has been reported, and whatever information they have, they're going to give to him. The messenger tells, Kriegel, hey, you might not like this news. And Kriegel, ever the authoritarian, says, I will decide that. I don't care about your opinion. I will decide that. One of the things that Marvel was very good at when they talked about Nazis, or they had their Nazi characters, extremely arrogant, extremely self-centered, extremely self-confident. And it turns out the Fuhrer is not happy with the reports that we're getting. We kind of see a full picture of him right here. He's one of these guys that he's definitely physically deformed. He's extremely short. He has facial deformities, probably has brittle bone disease and whatnot. But he was one of these guys that bought into Hitler's dream. And this is sort of Roy Thomas's statement that, the guys who believed in the master race stuff were not master race material. And this guy, at least physically, isn't. He was a brilliant scientist, so he was useful to the Third Reich. And he served there. He served until the very end. Eventually, he had to flee Germany because they were prosecuting war criminals. He got out because of his scientific skill and because of his desire to be in an authoritarian environment. He went to work for Dr. Doom. Dr. Doom put him in charge of his shrinking ray thing. But when he needed a subject to use the shrinking ray on, he chose the doctor. So Dr. Doom, or he chose this scientist, this Nazi scientist who's the Fuhrer, and he says basically, listen, I know how Nazis think. You're licking my boots today, but you're going to be kicking my ass tomorrow if you get the chance. I'm not going to give you the chance. You're a Nazi, fuck you. Thanks for the scientific work. And he uses the ray on him. And he does shrink. And I think the shrinking ray was used in an early Fantastic Four issue. So yeah, again, Roy Thomas he knows the history, so he knows how to tell a backstory. And again, this scientist, I think his name is Kressler. Oh, Kronenstein. Okay, so the Kronenstein guy, he ends up in this subatomical world, just like Dr. Banner. He gets there a little early. The Shaper of Dreams is already taking residence in this world. So the Shaper obviously becomes aware of his presence, and he realizes that he has new stimuli, different stimuli. And this explains the reality that Hulk finds himself in. In Blitzkrieg 1972, we see the Shaper. And again, he's a Skrull creature. I think he was a Skrull experiment that gone awry. Definitely AI, because he can think for himself. And he was actually much more brilliant than the people who created him. But again, he has a lack of imagination, so he's like a drug addict. He needs people's dreams to sort of feed that addiction of feeling alive. Because if you're all powerful but you have no imagination, you're just helpless. So anyway, the Shaper, he takes this guy, Krogstad. He says he makes the deal with him. He's talking to him right now because Krogstad, it's an interesting situation with the dream, in that the dream isn't following as smoothly as he thought. He thought he was going to do what Hitler couldn't do and simply, win the Second World War. But the Shaper is like, okay, I put you in position to do that, but you still have to work for that gold. And this is what the Shaper is explaining to him. Because everything's kind of falling apart for this guy. But it's not because of the Shaper, it's because of Krogstad. And I guess it's like that song in Mean Girls, what is it called? Smart in math, but dumb in love. So this Krogstad guy, he's smart in the laboratory, but he's dumb in the strategy room. So Krogstad is explaining this. He says, dude, if you want to salvage this dream, you have to step up. I'm putting you in the best position to do that, but that's on you. And so I kind of like that. The Shaper kind of doesn't make it easy for you. You kind of have to work. So nevertheless, the soldiers who are aligned with the Hulk, they're at the headquarters. So they're about to storm the headquarters. They're storming the bunker, kind of like how the Russian troops stormed Hitler's bunker. The soldiers, they're fighting like hell. No one's coming out here alive. They're fighting again. There's a diversion. I think it's just an excuse to kind of to draw a nice plane here. Didn't really need this for the story. Hulk is barreling through. He wants the Shaper. He wants the Shaper for a different reason than these guys. Hulk is not focused on ending the war. He's focused on getting to his girlfriend, his ex-girlfriend. And that's what he's thinking. Because again, crackhead mentality. He's also disgusted with this war, also, I should say. So he's determined to end this too. However, one of the things that Krogstad needed to keep this dream alive, and the Shaper was willing to do that. The Shaper wasn't willing to directly help him, but he says, listen, if you need something you think will help, I'll help you. So he becomes this superpowered creature. So he becomes Croakside becomes the muscular superhero that he always dreamed of being. He calls himself Captain Axis, and he has all the powers of the Submariner and Captain America. He's saying, hey, I'm a super being. He can fight the Hulk one-on-one. They're going back and forth. Hulk's not impressed by this guy. Though he does accept that he's pretty strong. He says, I'm still going to smash you. Words, you're using hard words with more than one syllable. The Hulk doesn't like that. Crackheads, call a crackhead stupid. See what happens to you. Okay, so before I go back into the story, I'm going to go into the letters page. Now, this letters page I haven't read earlier. The other letters page I did look at earlier. They're talking about Hulk 151. The first letter, he kind of likes it. I honestly don't remember that issue. Although he liked the issue, he kind of feels like maybe the comic's getting into a rut. And he feels like maybe you guys really need to start changing things up. Editorial is talking to him here, actually. And they said that we kind of like the direction that the Hulk is going in, and they kind of don't want to change stuff too extreme. So they actually did kind of like address the concern they probably were having. I think Archie Goodwin probably wrote this, and I think Archie, he was not as defensive as Roy Thomas. And next letter is about Hulk 151. It's not perfect, but he said there were more good things about it than bad things. The person is happy that Betty seems to be moving on from the Hulk. He doesn't like the Project Greenskin. He does enjoy kind of like the congressional fighting to fund this project in their world, but he kind of doesn't really like the military project. They're talking about a character getting cancer. It's kind of odd. Yeah, I guess a secondary character got cancer and they killed them off that way. That's strange for back then. I mean, eventually, years later, Jim Starlin would kill off Captain Marvel by him having cancer. And kind of talking. So the person is kind of saying, hey, you kind of need to step up your game a little. And they're kind of saying, hey, sorry we disappointed you. They're being a little sarcastic here. Next letter is again, it's the same thing. It's a balance. They said there are things they like, but there are things they don't like. He doesn't like Betty. Feels that she's kind of a drag and wishy-washy. They did point out to the character with cancer. So this person kind of liked it, but they thought it's female, surely.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
But they thought there were a few things that needed to be changed. The last letter has a lot of praise, talking about 150 and 151. And so I think, Hulk fans for the most part were happy. Though there were things that they were saying, come on guys, switch it up a little. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the story. Hulk and Captain Axis, they are battling it out one-on-one. Captain Axis is talking a lot. I can understand that. At one point, Hulk does a move here where he realizes that it's kind of like an even strength between him and Captain Axis. So he throws himself off the building because the Hulk knows that he can survive from this height, but he's not quite sure whether Captain Axis can. So he's kind of testing that. Now, Captain Axis calls him a dunk-off, but actually this is a smart move by the Hulk. And Hulk is calling him out because Captain Axis isn't sure whether he can survive it. And Hulk's calling him a little sissy, saying, does falling scare you? Fancy words. And he's saying, yeah, Hulk is like saying, hey, Egghead, we're going to see you're smashed all over the ceiling, all over the sidewalk. They both land with a crash. Hulk is used to this, so it doesn't bother him. Captain Axis is still alive, but he's a little disoriented. He's not used to this. So, and Hulk is kind of rubbing it in. Hulk will not groan or cry. All pain, all hurt, only makes Hulk madder. And he grows stronger, hits harder, more and more, over and over. Hulk is in crackhead mode, 1,000%. Hulk is saying that he doesn't really need anything other than his emotions to fuel his anger. Captain Axis is in over his head at this point. He definitely has the power to withstand it. He just doesn't have the experience. Again, he's smart in the lab. He's dumb in the ring. And Captain Axis is beside himself. He can't believe that he's losing this, because this was his dream. It was all set up for him to win. Everything was set up for him to win, and he's still fighting the Hulk though, so he still has something in the tank. But Hulk is like super confident. He's totally focused. He's like saying, "There's no power that's going to stop me." So you can keep this up for 2 hours. I can keep this up for 2 hours and a half. Doesn't matter. Then Captain Axis says something that he'll definitely regret. He said that he never dreamt that something like this would happen. And what this does is that since this is something that he never dreamt of, and it's happening, that means the dream is over. Because what's happening now is no longer a part of his dream. And it's out of the Shaper's domain, because he can make your dreams happen. But if you dream something that is, say, beyond what you think could happen, the way the thinker operates, that ends the dream. So Krogstad, he's shrinking. And he's getting smaller and smaller. He doesn't understand it, but then he realizes what happened. He realizes what he said basically ended the dream. So he's basically reverting back to normal. Hulk is mystified because now he has this shriveled up old man in his arms that means nothing to him. Hulk is realizing that things are changing, that the dream is ending, everything is fading. And finally, it's over. The dream is over. And that means that the stimuli that the Shaper was using has stopped. So his drug high has ended. At this point, he's angry at the Hulk. The Hulk interfered with this because he knew this could have gone on longer without him. And apparently the Shaper, his orgasm is when the dreamer fulfills their dream. That's the state of ecstasy that emotionally drives the Shaper. That's his orgasm. And so Hulk denied him his orgasm. So he's kind of like, the Shaper thought he was getting a happy ending, and he didn't. And he is pissed at that. He's still pretty powerful, so he punished the Hulk. So he decides that he's going to use the Hulk's dreams to sort of like kind of fuel him. So he accesses the Hulk's, his memory cells. He creates people. The Shaper creates replicas of people the Hulk knows. General Ross, Glenn Talbert, Jim Thompson, his friend Jim, and there's Betty. Hulk knows they're all fake, and he's not fooled by this. And he attacks them, and he wants something real. He says, "I don't want these replicas. I want something real." And that called again to another episode of Star Trek. I remember it was a Will Riker episode, and it's some small alien who's abandoned on a world, and his machines can create replicas of any reality, but he knew that they were fake, and he wanted something real. I forgot that episode. It's a good episode.
Been so long. I just wanted somebody real.
Same way Hulk is battling these replicas of people that he knows. Some of them he cares about, some of them he doesn't. He knows the Shaper is manipulating him, so he's not bothered by what he's doing. Then he sees one image that stops him in his tracks. It's Jariel. That's the girlfriend he was looking for. The whole reason that he shrunk himself and is in this reality is because he wanted to find this woman. She's there right next to him. And he lashes out because he's like, no, I want the real thing. I don't want a replica. And the Shaper realizes that he's going to get nowhere with this guy. That he can try to access his dreams. This guy's just simply going to resist. And the Shaper just gives up. There's just no point in doing this. So what happened is the Shaper sends him to another reality. And I don't know what the Shaper had in mind, but he sends the Hulk along. Now the Shaper himself, he has no more dreams to exploit. The slug creatures, what few are left, he already went through those dreams. He went through Krug-Styles' dreams. You don't get a second chance. You get that one chance with him. The Shaper realizes that for himself, that there's nothing left for him to plunder. And he kind of mentions that he does feel bad about the last dream. That, hey, I was so desperate that I took this guy's nightmare. I was so desperate for some stimulation that I took this, and I kind of really shouldn't have done that, and that's a bad on me. And so the Shaper leaves. The Shaper's being kind of an asshole here. He's leaving. He's acting like he did these people a favor, these slugs a favor. He did not. He exploited them. They probably got like a cheap little fix from having their simple dreams fulfilled. Then they had to deal with that Nazi nightmare, which killed most of the population. They have to rebuild from this. They've been probably traumatized by this guy. And the Shaper is just kind of saying, woe is me, I'll just have to find other dreamers. So, yeah, fuck you, Shaper. And the Hulk is heading down into another atomic world. So I think he stays in these atomic worlds for like maybe one or two more issues. Then he returns back to Earth Prime. And yeah, that's about it. So that is my review of Hulk 155 or walkthrough, and I hope to have more up soon. Bye.